said. The officer sighed. Listen, kids, I've seen this before. You don't have the money, so you fake a burglary to get a police report to show the landlord. It doesn't work. Next time, break a window or something. Make it look real. But we were robbed, Jack shouted. Just then, Chrissy walked in, holding the transistor radio. Hi guys, Bo. Look, a policeman. Did you find my keys? Chrissy, Jana said, her voice trembling. Where did you get that radio? I took it to be repaired this morning, Chrissy said brightly. Why? And the envelope? Jack asked. Oh, I moved that to the bathroom cabinet so it wouldn't get dusty. They rushed to the bathroom. The cabinet was empty. The realization hit them like a ton of bricks. If the money wasn't in the bathroom and the radio wasn't stolen, then where was the cash? The truth came out in a flurry of confusion. Stanley Roper had come up earlier to fix a leak, which was actually him just poking around, and had seen the envelope. Being Stanley, he assumed they were finally paying him early and had simply taken it. He took it, Jana cried. And he didn't leave a receipt? Roper, leave a receipt. Jack laughed bitterly. He probably thought it was a tip. The night ended with a confrontation in the hallway. Stanley, feeling guilty for once, tried to invite them to dinner to celebrate receiving the rent on time. We thought you were going to evict us, Jana told him. Evict you? Why would I evict my best tenants? Stanley said, his arm around Helen. Especially now that I can afford to take my wife to the Sizzler. As the trio watched the Ropers walk away, Jack leaned against the door frame. You know, he said, one of these days, we're going to have a normal week. No puppies, no sleepwalking, and no fake burglaries. Jana looked at him and smiled. Jack, if we had a normal week, we wouldn't be us, and we'd be very, very bored, Chrissy added. The lights of the Santa Monica apartment dimmed, and for a brief moment, everything was at peace. But in the world of Jack, Jana, and Chrissy, the next misunderstanding was always just one knock away. Three's Company, The Santa Monica Chronicles. Chapter 1, The New Yorker and the Jailer. The golden California sun was beginning its slow descent over the Santa Monica Pier, casting long, amber shadows across the weathered wood of the boardwalk. But inside the manager's apartment of the Mediterranean-style complex on 1014 and Croft Avenue, the atmosphere was considerably less picturesque. Stanley Roper sat in his favorite armchair, his face twisted into a mask of perpetual agitation. He was a man who seemed to have been born middle-aged and disgruntled, dressed in a short-sleeved button-down that had seen better decades. Beside him, his wife Helen was focused on her nails. The rhythmic scritch, scritch, scritch of the file was, to Stanley, equivalent to a jackhammer at dawn. Be quiet, Helen, Stanley hissed, his voice a strained whisper. You're gonna wake Karen. Helen didn't even look up. Filing my nails is gonna wake up your niece. It's not the filing, Stanley, it's the breaking. Every time you break a nail, You swear loud enough to wake the dead. Oh, so that's what got you up. Just hold it down, will you? Stanley adjusted his glasses. The poor girl flew in all the way from New York. She's exhausted. You've heard of jet lag, haven't you? Helen sighed, finally setting the file down and looking at her husband with a mixture of pity and exasperation. Heard of it. I married it. You've been in a fog since the Eisenhower administration. Stanley ignored the barb. His brother had entrusted him with Karen, and in Stanley's mind, taking care of a young woman in her 20s meant acting as a self-appointed warden of a high-security prison. To him, Los Angeles was not the land of opportunity. It was a sprawling playground for freaks, weirdos, and perverts. She's trying to adjust to a new time zone, Stanley defended. She's trying to adjust to living the life of a nun, Helen countered. You never let her out of your sight. You're more like her jailer than her uncle. It's embarrassing, Stanley. The girl is beautiful. She's young. And she's stuck listening to your war stories every night. I took her to Disneyland. Stanley protested, his voice rising. I took her to the museum. We walked to the end of the pier. I told her about the big one. Ellen. Stanley suddenly barked, realizing his wife's eyes had glazed over. Oh, sorry, Stanley. Helen blinked. I must have drifted off. Probably because your list of fun activities sounds like a prescription for insomnia. She leaned forward, her expression softening slightly. Look, she ought to be out having some fun with people her own age. She ought to be out dating. Stanley recoiled as if she'd suggested Karen join a motorcycle gang. Dating. In this city, it's crawling with freaks and weirdos. Yes, I know. Helen finished for him. But what about the kids upstairs? Stanley paused. He thought of the trio in apartment 4. Jonna Wood, the sensible florist, Chrissy Snow, the dizzy but kind-hearted secretary, and Jack Tripper, the chef. Stanley's eyebrows knit together. He tolerated Jack only because he believed the young man was different. It was the only reason he allowed a man to share an apartment with 2 beautiful women. You mean the Andrews sisters? Stanley muttered. Patty, Maxine, and Tinker Bell. Helen rolled her eyes. Jack is a perfectly nice fella. And more importantly, Stanley, he's safe. A slow, calculating smile spread across Stanley's face. It was a rare sight, and usually signaled that he had found a way to save money or avoid a headache. You know, for once in your life, Helen, you've got a smart idea. Dating Jack, it's as safe as sending her out in an armored truck. Chapter 2. The Jimmy Cake and the Great Betrayal. Upstairs in apartment 4, the air smelled of floor wax and cheap vanilla frosting. It was Jeanette's birthday, and the apartment was a hive of clandestine activity. Or at least, it was supposed to be. Jack Tripper burst through the front door, balancing a white cardboard bakery box in one hand. He was a whirlwind of energy, his lanky frame moving with a practiced clumsiness that usually ended in a near disaster. Hey, I got the cake, he announced to the empty living room. Chrissy Snow emerged from the kitchen, her blonde ponytail bouncing. Oh, good. Where's the birthday girl? In the